I got I got cat hair on the microphone stand. Cat hair on the mic. Cat hair on the microphone stand. Cat hair on the mic. There's somebody in this land. The microphone they like. It's a cat on the microphone stand. Cat hair on the mic. I got cat hair on my microphone stand. Cat hair on the mic. Someone in this land liking that mic. They like a microphone stand. My cat gave a like. But they got cat hair on the microphone stand. Cat hair on the mic. Cat hair on the microphone stand. Cat hair on the mic. Something's on the microphone stand. Something that I like. I was just playing. I don't like it. Cat hair on the mic. Ooh. Cat hair on the mic. Cat hair on the microphone stand. Something I don't like. Cat hair on the microphone stand. Cat hair on the mic. Yeah, woo, that brought the house down. Woo. Dang, all these flowers flying, accolades from all sides of creative industry. Greetings, programs. My name's Hanker and Furnail. Welcome back to Runehammer here on YouTube. It's, well, heck, it's Friday the 13th, isn't it? Just hold on. Ooh. All right, there we go. That's a little more better. Anyway, hi, guys. Well, welcome back to the channel. It's Friday the 13th. We're kicking it in the lair. Everything you see here, all this, look at this, these white walls. There's a jar of peanuts right here, cocktail peanuts for snacking. We have various other things. Everything you see here is Runehammer. This is it, all this splendor. Drunkens and Dragons from back in the day. Thanks for tuning in, you guys. Now, before we get into all this crazy stuff, remember what we say here at Runehammer, like, yeah, it's a rough day on Earth today. And, we've been together here on YouTube for like 7-8 years now. We've been through some crazy stuff. Like Earth has seen good times and bad times since we've been together, making things a little bit more better. And, I know there's crazy stuff going on in the world right now, but we don't hang out and just talk about silly old RPGs and rolling dice and hanging out and frog people and stuff because we're ignorant of what's going on out there in the world. We talk about all this stuff in spite of it, right? To take a little reprieve. It's okay to still be happy and to still talk about silly things. We don't have to just all day, every day, universally soak ourselves into all these tragic situations. So, of course, our hearts go out to everybody who is struggling in some of these situations right now. And I hope it just is all over soon and everybody can just chill out. But until we reach that point, it's still okay to do happy little things and take a little breather for your own self. You know what I'm saying? And that's what we're going to do right here, right now. We're going to just take a little time to talk about some silly business. This stuff ain't serious, y'all. Actually, that's bullshit right there. This is dead serious stuff. Like, we're going to get into some serious role playing at the table. Now, I'm trying to break the habit, which that I've had for years now, of the habit of just calling all role playing D&D. Look at this. Look at this guy. See this guy? What is he doing? What's his purpose? He's not a team player. I can see this little thing over here on the left. All right. Anyway. 2 seconds. 2 seconds here. Okay. Anyway, got that out of the way. Okay, let's get into what we're here to talk about today. All right. So first of all, I know it's been a little while now. I got some games going, y'all. But one of these games, a really exciting one that I've been doing every week, and you haven't heard from me a little bit, right? I cannot recap to you. It is going to remain top secret. Now, you guys know I like to do like retroactive RPG creativity, right? Meaning that use a bunch of sessions, use your friends, actual human beings to develop content and creativity in your role-playing work. Actually play the stuff. And then afterward, go in with the writing tools, go in as the author, as the creator, as the bookmaker, right? And so right now we are playing the events that will eventually become Volume 2 of Crown and Skull. Now, for those of you who got into the pre-sale for Crown and Skull, thank you so freaking much. We slam dunked that baby. All the gears are turning right now. There's some a little bit of stuff going on with globalization, right? It takes some time, but all of those books, thousands of these buggers, are going to be in my warehouse, like right on New Year's Day or so. So if you join the pre-sale, that's when all the inventory is going to head your way. And if you miss the pre-sale, everyone in the world can get their copy right at the turn of the new year. So I know it's going to be a couple more months, and that bites. It does suck, but this is the price of going, like, shooting for the moon as far as quality on these suckers. So thanks for your patience, and thanks everybody who kicked in on that. And yeah, so one of my groups, the top secret group, is working on Crown and Skull Volume 2, and I can tell you absolutely nothing about it. It must remain totally secret. And believe me, after this habit of these last several years, just hollering at y'all about whatever I'm doing, like the previous week, it doesn't feel natural. It doesn't feel right, y'all. It's like that dude from Pumpkinhead, you know what I'm saying? The only power she got to take you straight to hell. Anyhow, there's another one in my game, the Frog Brothers group. And that one I can recap to you, and I wanted to tell you about it today. So if you look in my community post on the YouTube channel there, which I've been trying to, get a little more out of that little community posting thing, because you know what? As social media is changing and getting more annoying and honestly more like flotsамized, right? There's kind of debris everywhere. The little community page on the YouTube channel is actually really tidy and really pure. It's really nice. It's kind of like a direct line to y'all. Kind of like it. So if you take a look there from just a few minutes ago, I posted up a couple phone snappies that I took during our last session. It was Tuesday night. Now, normally I don't like to pull the phone out during any role playing at the table. Hey, look, there's Chutney. Chutney. What's he doing? Oh, Chutney. What's he doing? Where you going, Chet? Anyway, so but when I do pull the phone out, I always like to just take picture of the table setups, right? Not necessarily like my friends' faces and somebody like laughing or spitting out their beer or whatever. Like, I don't really get into those kind of photos because those are my friends. They're not like a commodity to be put on the internet, right? But the table is always really fun because it just reminds everybody this is all like real, like this is all cobbled together, and we're just like barely getting like our color printouts and remembering our dice at the last second, and just like one person's late because they're not cool, because being late's not cool. And so on and so forth. So if you take a look at those snappies, you'll kind of hear a little bit of like what's going on. So if you've been following the Frog Brothers recaps, this is session 4. We started in Crown and Skull as prisoners of this sort of cruel frog empire, right? And the frog empire in Crown and Skull is a lot like a dark version of a sort of samurai culture, right? Like Edo, Japan, but make it a lot meaner, and everybody's a frog. And we're prisoners of theirs. And we went through the struggle of escaping that prison, contacting this kind of growing rebellion that wants to rise against them. Then we went out across this marsh and we took these barges, and the barges were kind of, there's some role playing involved. We reached this swamp. We're trying to get to the town of Gardenborough, and we got to cross this huge swamp. We take a few steps in the swamp. It's like quicksand. It's terrible. We say, forget that. So we head up to the mountains. Instead, we're going to go around, kind of like going to Moria instead of through the pass of Keratas. You know what I'm saying? For those of you who know, don't be hasty, right? So we go up, we're going through the mountains. We encounter some gargoyles, and it was sick. In session 3, the GM played the gargoyles right out of the book, and we're extremely low level. So it was utterly terrifying. It was one of these moments of like, balance be damned. There's no freaking chance we can take on these gargoyles. And it was badass. Like, sometimes when you're like way outmatched, you kind of feel like, oh, I'm just a little baby. But a lot of times it's actually really fun because it like gets your blood pumping. You get teamwork that really matters because people care about each other. You don't want to let your homie die and stuff. And that's where role playing gets really luscious. So we took on these gargoyles, barely made it into this kind of like slot canyon, sort of like really narrow passage in the mountains. It's basically a pass kind of. And we go in there, and that was the end of session 3. Now, session 4, we're working our way through this cool tunnel. And we had a little bit of a couple week gap between session 3 and 4. So our GM had a chance to print up a lot of fun color printouts, and mainly using 2-minute tabletop stuff. And so we have this cool narrow tunnel. We're kind of exploring. Some rocks fall from the edges. It's kind of unstable in there. And then we're like, wait a minute, those rocks aren't just falling on their own. And we see some shit crawling up there, some critters crawling on the walls. And we're like, oh my God, critters. And, we've been dealing with more like political situations, like where even like drawing a weapon might be bad because you could bring like a force that would be beyond your ability to take it on. But now we're just in a little tunnel, basically a narrow canyon. No one's around. Like, let's fight. Let's get some kills under our belt. You know what I'm saying? So these like spider creatures come down. Of course it's fucking spider creatures. It's fantasy. It's a mountain pass. There's a spider creature. Deal with it. So they're coming down the walls. We're like, oh shit, let's get some kills. Blades out, you know what I mean? Go after these things. There's a brief moment of like, oh crap, they're tougher than we thought. But no, we pulled it together, got our tactics on point. A lot of times like that second round of combat, you get your timing more tight. That opening round of combat can be a little weird, like the wrong guy engaged first, or the bad guy's got a little bit of a jump on you or something. Then we get our vibe going, we get our rhythm, bang, 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 knockdown. This was my first kill of the campaign for my character, Karazhan the Clever. Got my first kill. 4th session, first kill. And I was like, oh my God, yes, it feels so good. Woo! All right, so we continue to go up and explore this little thing. We find something weird in the sidewall there. We hear some more crumble, crumble up ahead. We think there's going to be more spider critters. This kind of weird door, like a secret door. I think we stepped on something. Opens up. We're like, ooh, let's get in there and maybe get a little bit of rest. Get a quick little, take a breather and recover 1 attrition. So we go in there and we're looking around. We don't have to worry about the spider guys for a minute. And it was pretty cool. It was like, almost like when Conan finds the tomb of what he thinks is Crom, right? It's really just the tomb of the Aquilonian king, I think is what it's called in the book. But when Conan first escapes slavery, he finds that tomb. And it's really just this sort of tomb where some royal guy from a bygone day, not Aquilonian king, it's the Atlantean king. That's right. In the book, it's the Atlantean king. And that's where Conan finds that, sort of a iconic sword of his. So anyways, we found a thing like that. It's just a tomb where, a century past, some royal guy, some badass guy was buried in his armor with his 6 coolest dudes. And of course, he's got a chest in his hands. And we're like, we know this guy's going to come alive. We know that his servants who were buried with him, these corpses, like, who are still upright, right? We had all the cool atmosphere of that moment. We knew these things are going to come alive because meta knowledge, but our characters weren't like that. Our characters were more like, we desperately need loot. So we said, I have a bad feeling about this. We kind of role played what the characters might say, even though our players completely knew, like, oh yeah, bring it. So we got the chest, got a couple cool items, and then sure as shit, these zombie guys come alive. The king guy, or the royal, whatever he was, the noble, he's a little tougher, has some armor. We take him on, and at first we're like getting ready to run. But we had created our own boogeyman a little bit. Now, sometimes players they'll get it in their head that there's a boogeyman, that this is going to be too hard. This is going to be too deadly. We're going to get surrounded. We should run. And that's, in our groups, that's what we refer to as a boogeyman, right? You're kind of inventing the difficulty before you really even know it. And, I'm always counseling players not to do that stuff. Just go with the flow and, do fact-based thinking rather than turning everything into a boogeyman. And I found us doing it. Like, me and my co-players were doing it, me included. And I'm going to get to my thesis about this recap. And that was one of the key points that reinforces my thesis today on YouTube. So anyways, we take these suckers on and we dish out terrible, deadly justice to the undead. Now, 2 of us in our group have this belief or sort of oath that we will not let evil endure. And clearly, like, undead soldiers, that's not natural, that's not good, that's evil, that's bad. So we're putting these suckers down. Oh yeah, was it satisfying? No moral quandaries, no like, should I really kill someone over this adventure? Like, is this really what I want to do? Because I'm a good guy, right? Don't have to worry about that here. You just with impunity, bro. Even less emotion involved in killing the undead than killing spider creatures, right? Like, even a spider creature is a living thing, but these things, They just need to be put down. They need to be ended. So we get the treasure out of there, we cruise, and then we're like, we just need to bolt out of here. So we run out of this crack and we come through on the other side of the mountain pass. Whew! Now we're into the Copper Peaks. We're like, wow, this is way more scenic than the swamp. Do a little bit of easy going role playing, you know what I mean? And then there's this bridge. We pause at the bridge and we're like, is this going to crumble? Is there a trap? And again, we're like, what are we saying? Why are we boogeymanning this? It's a bridge. You know what you do? You walk over it. So we just start walking over this sucker feeling good. Sure enough, the bridge was not a foe. It was not an enemy. And then down on this river that's underneath the bridge, we see a troll all alone in a rowboat. And I don't know what the GM intended with this NPC encounter, but for some reason, our hearts opened up and we saw this troll sort of kind of with a melancholy stroke to the oar, or like the sort of the stick that you use to move along your little sort of gondola rowboat, right? And the sort of the role play that our GM was doing for this troll, for some reason, some subtlety of body language, maybe our hearts just sort of reached out to this troll, and we like felt for this troll, and we're like, instead of getting all weird about it, we're like, hello there, boatman, how are you on this fine day? And it's like an autumn day in the Copper Peaks, and it's kind of fresh air and everything. And this troll, oh my God, you guys, it broke our hearts. He's like, hello. And just, that's all he really said. And he's like floating under the bridge. And we're like, dude, that fool sounds sad though. That was so sad. So we're like, hey man, are you all right? Like, do you need help? You sound like you're distraught, bro. And this poor troll kind of pauses and is like, my whole family is gone, and I've been traveling north for so long, and when there's no waterways, I just carry my boat on my back. And we're like, that is the fucking saddest thing I've ever heard. Like, what happened? So we start working our way down these stairs down to the river's edge, and we're talking to this troll, and this troll was attacked by orcs who are in the far south of the North Holds, which everybody sort of knows about but never really sees them. They're like way down in the desert. And we're like feeling for this guy. His name is Patrick. We're like, yo, Patrick, man, you are so cool. You don't have to be sad all the time. Why don't you join our troop? We're headed a little bit further north, and then we're going to be going east to the town of Gardenborough, and they will accept you there. They are kind folk in that village, and they will bring you in, and we will vouch for you. Like, get in here. Just because you're a troll doesn't mean we have to, be enemies in this world or anything. And it was just this whole like heartfelt role play session. And every once in a while, sometimes role play feels forced as hell, right? It's like the GM is like staring at you like, role play now. And you're like, do I have to? But this one was more just like, man, we just wanted to throw down with my homie Patrick, get him in the group. So anyways, we kind of integrate Patrick into the group. He takes us on the boat for a while. We cross the Gardenborough Channel, and our GM does a hex roll for us because we've moved into a different hex on the map. And we actually, luck holding, we get smooth sailing on the water. So the water's just smooth that day. But then we come across a sort of heap of flotsam, right? It's a busted up shipwreck that's floating out in the middle of this channel. And we're looking through the shipwreck, and we recovered some sort of basic items. We need loot so bad. We're just retrieving some items, like some rope and I think like some flask type stuff. We get some items out of there, and we're like, this is kind of weird. This is a froggish ship has been destroyed in this channel. There's been some shenaniganery. And among the flotsam, we find a wanted poster. And this wanted poster is for one of the members of our group. And we're like, uh-oh. So they know that we are defectors and that we fled the Frog Empire, and now they're looking for us. That's not cool. Really simple move by the game master that put a super fun spin on who we are. So we get across the channel. Patrick docks his boat. We bring him into the elven village of Gardenborough. We're rolling in. We're like, yo, don't give us any sideways looks. This is our man, Patrick. He's like our Holmes. This guy's cool. He's like 9 feet tall, by the way, and ugly. So we keep like a big hat on him. We like buy him this sort of extravagant hat. I mean, we're role playing, right? You're going to have to put an extravagant hat on your troll friend. We find the Suede and Saddle, which is the local club for ladies only, which is a little weird. So I guess it's like lady equestrians. You don't find this too often in fantasy villages, but there it is. And they answer the door, and as the sort of orator, or like I kind of speak for our group, I got a little excited and I maybe revealed a little too much about who we are too quickly. But still, we were welcomed in. They kind of brought us into the back. And they're like, could you keep your voice down? Like, talking about the rebellion openly in this town. There are eyes everywhere. Be careful. So then, all right, well, let's hide in the back room. So some NPC stuff happens. We find out there's a detachment of frog warriors from the Empire who's been searching, trying to carry out these wanted posters. There's one for each of us, and their boat was destroyed by a saboteur out in the channel, and now they are encamped on the coast near the village. And we find out that our player, who couldn't make it that night, his character is named Whisper, and Whisper has been missing and is believed to be the culprit in this boat sabotage. And rumor has it that Whisper was captured by this detachment of Imperial frogs, and they're encamped. And we like, oh shit, we got to rescue Whisper. Like, instantly knew exactly what we had to do. Take a little break, get a drink, have a snack, come back to the table. We're in this game maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours at this point. It's time to go out to the frog encampment, sneak up in the bushes. We got this whole plan. We're going to jump out the bushes, pull one of these guards into the bushes and gaffle him, when nobody's looking. Do it quiet, get in, because we're definitely going to be up against superior numbers. And we go and botch the plan. We botched the plan, guys. So we fail the opening rolls. The frogs come out. They call reinforcements because of a really low timer that got rolled. We're taking on the frogs. The first few have no armor, which is great. And then we get some armored frogs rolling up. And then we get a heavily armored frog rolling up who's the captain. We can't take this fool out really unless we really team up. And it's not looking good because now we're getting outnumbered. We take out a few of them, but this is just not looking good. Me and my dwarf Nero. So Karazhan is an elf. My best buddy, played by my friend, is Nero, who is a jolly and overfed dwarf, is like one of his sort of key words. So the two of us are back to back fighting, while our frog brethren, who is a defector, right? He's a traitor because he's no longer Imperial. He's taken on these frogs, and his job is to rescue our friend Whisper. So he's over there trying to grab her. She's kept in this little sort of cramped little iron cage box. Really cruel. The Frog Empire is so cruel in this game. And so he's picking up this iron cage box. He's really big. He's like 6'5". He's carrying her around. We're like, we got to get the hell out of here. We kind of do some maneuvers to basically like bash him and kind of get a little opening, because the movement rules are a little tighter in Crown and Skull than maybe what you're used to. And so we need to get a sort of a moment. We get our moment. We see our opening and we pop. We're running. We flee out of there and we're running through the woods. And they'll only chase us so far because they're going to hit the village. And like, this village is not friendly to the Empire. They will then be outnumbered. So we kind of outrun them in the forest. Whew, let our little friend out of her gnarly little iron cage box. And that's the end of session 4. Okay, so that was the gameplay. It was like 3.5 hours, a good weeknight session for people who go to bed at 10:30. Great times had by all, really intense battles. But now we get to the part of every one of these recaps where I like to holler at y'all about like the thesis, like what I sort of learned, the deeper thinking that happened because of the session. And yo, pardon all the creaking from my stupid office chair. I tell you, it's 2023. They still can't make a good office chair. You know what I mean? You feel me out there. I know y'all do. These things creak. You put the WD on. You know what I mean? Take them apart, put them together, clean them. They creak. They still creak. Anyway. See? They squeak. Okay, y'all. So that's the session. So now you know exactly what happened, right? There's no theory in all that, no opinion, no hot take here. I just told you what happened in our session. Had some really cool unexpected role play and some heavy hitting, bone crunching combat, which those of you out there who know about Crown and Skull, it is bone crunching. Attrition is rough. It kind of sends a chill down your spine. It's like it's very fun and can be very sort of almost shockingly fast. It can kind of be scary almost. Anyway, so after that session, I'm going home. And on the one hand, right, I'm a player in a group watching my system that I created being run by another GM, right? So get that in your mind's eye, in your brain palace. That's what's happening. And so as we're playing, I was realizing some of the stuff that she's leaving out, right? Or overlooking. Because all of us, no matter what our experience level is with any system, you're going to lean in on things that you remember and that feel intuitive. And you're going to kind of omit things that you don't really need or that you feel slow down or clunkify the game, right? This is the joy of role playing, right? You're not almost ever truly playing the system as the book is telling you to. You're always in a state of modification and customization. And so, me as the player, I'm watching this happen. And my first instinct is like, yo, you got a bunch of enemies here that have no defense, no armor. So that's why we've just been rolling damage against them and everything. And she's like, yeah, I know. And then, of course, the next wave of frogs who roll in have 3 defense, and it's a sudden challenge bump. Then comes the frog with 5. And you know what? It's brilliant. I didn't think of this, but having enemies that just don't have armor as a sort of an introductory experience, a ramp, if you will, into armored foes. Now, granted, in session 3, we had heavily armored enemies, the gargoyles. I think they had like armor of 8, which is extremely difficult to penetrate when it's damage reduction, right? Like, that's tough. I mean, you're rolling 12 damage, which is spicy, and only 4 gets through. Ooh, mamacita. So she had basically invented a new mechanic in the game, which was unarmored foes, which we were just in the heat of the moment so much. It was awesome. It wasn't a problem. It wasn't an overlooking. It wasn't accidental omission. It was just dope. And then when these armored frogs roll in, I'm like, what? And it's badass, right? And so that contrast was really cool. Now, the other thing is that this little loop that I just told you about of like seeing a missing rule, or you're not quite getting how Crown and Skull wants you to do X. Oh yeah, I know. I think I sort of get it. I'm just sort of, I'm just kind of rolling with being the GM here. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm kind of speaking up as a GM rather than as a player, like, and no, totally, like, having a 1.5 GMs in a game is actually great, because she was kind of getting more space to role play a little bit and to get creative. And I was getting my satisfaction with kind of occasionally saying, well, in Crown and Skull, if you hurry, you've got a 5 defense penalty because you're doing a compound action, blah, 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 blah. All this stuff that if you guys read the PDF, you will find out. And by the way, none of this stuff is secret. You can go over to Runehammer online right now and get the free player's guide, which is like the first 60 some pages of Crown and Skull, and read all about these mechanics. So, there's no reason not to join the fun. Or you can go for it and get the full book with the digital kit, whatever. So this is not the thesis. This is still me building up to it. The thesis is right here, something I've already been very outspoken about, which if you want to be a good game master and a good game designer and a good publisher and a good writer, you've got to play the damn game. This forever GM shit, I don't know who came up with that term, but stop it, y'all. Stop it. Forever GM, here goes the hot take. Forever GM, bad GM. You have got to be a player to understand what makes GMing awesome. You have to. It's like a chef who never eats if you're the forever GM. You have to eat to be a cook. You can't just sit back in your chair of supremacy. Also, by the way, pulling a weird, but you got to. Oh, sorry. They're just like, they have new notifications coming up on YouTube. They're very distracting. You've got to play if you want to be a kick-ass GM. And I think that is something we can really lean in on, not just as a hot take, but why? Why do you really need to be a player to be a great GM? And I think just to see the holistic portion, the holistic view of our hobby. What's so important about being a player that gives you that view? And that's what I'm talking about. Now, if I know what I'm doing here on YouTube, I should be able to cut to a commercial break in just a few seconds. So we'll be right back after these short messages. Did an ad happen? Did you guys get like an Ovaltine commercial? That was crazy. Hey, this thing came up. It's like an ad's going to show in like 20 seconds. I'm like, wow, this is like being on Jimmy Fallon right here. This is crazy. I don't know. Did you guys see an ad? I don't know what's going on. It's 2023. All right. That is too funny. That was amazing. Yeah, be sure to drink your Ovaltine. It's got like vitamins and extra fluoride. Okay. So, what is it that's so important where I'm throwing down such a big glove at all the GMs out there that you got to play if you want to be good at this shit? I'll tell you what, it's because the little things that to GMs either don't seem important or seem undercreated or not to matter or whatever are huge to the player. And seeing that difference is you can only see it from the player's point of view. And so it's like, let's say you're a GM and you're a little bit short on time and you don't have a ton of miniatures and stuff. And so you just do little paper printouts of little guys and you fold them in half like little tents and throw it on the table. And you're like, sorry guys, I didn't have the miniatures for this particular enemy or whatever. And I just kind of grabbed this off the internet and printed it up before y'all came over and whatnot. Right. From the GM's point of view, it kind of feels like, there's like these little folded paper. From the player's point of view, like, oh my God, I love these little dudes. Right? I love these little dudes. And RPG Grandma, by the way, I like your username. Not once in a while. Not once in a while. All the damn time. Being a player is like doing leg day when you're at the gym. You don't do it once in a while. You do it every week. It's the other side. It's half or more of the whole hobby. Why y'all GMs not being players? Get in there. Now, first of all, the little things, I wanted to say that. But second of all, there is no way as the game master to perceive the emotional impact of what is happening on the table. There is no way. I put that out there. Now, you may get emotional impact as the game master based on other stuff. There's all kinds of emotions flooding your body when you're a game master, right? Especially if you're good at it and you're killing it and you're having a on fire night and you've got the energy going, everybody's in the right mood and the atmosphere's right, the music is killer, and there's like this building kind of ambiance, like you're slaying it. There's definitely going to be emotions, but the emotions of what you're delivering, of what's happening, are really just almost exclusively owned by the player. The player feels the fear of what's ahead. The player feels the not knowing, feels the uncertainty, feels the curiosity, feels the urge to scratch at things and to look under the rug. And you as the GM just don't feel that. You know what's in the room. You know what's under the rug. You know what's behind the curtains. And that emotional feeling of being a player is the number one way to know what's going to hit and be dope as the game master, because you've been there, because you know firsthand what the impact is of little things and of craft and of moments and of NPC stuff. Like so many GMs have trouble with that moment where you need to voice an NPC, me included. I've been doing this shit forever, and it can still really fall flat, feel awkward. I can get shy, but every once in a while, if the GM can just do a little bit of an emotion or a little bit of sincerity in that NPC, and I only know this because I know it from the player side, we latch on to that shit for dear life. It's like a life preserver in an ocean of combat role play. When you meet that NPC that is sincerely voiced by the GM, the players will go to any lengths to attach themselves to that little piece of content. And this is a piece of knowledge that you can know intellectually as a game master, but you got to be a player to feel how important that stuff is and how hard it hits. And so it can give you methods as a game master, like always include at least one intelligent or, English speaking or, like talk toable NPC in a session. Always. It's very hard to sustain an entire session when the players can't talk to a single person or being that's intelligent, because there's no moment that it relaxes into conversation, and conversation is where a lot of emotions live. And so the knowledge that you gain as a player can actually tactically, tangibly affect your preparation and execution style as a game master. So don't give me this forever GM BS. Get in there and play, y'all. Get in there and play. That's what I'm saying. Thank you, Azimuth. Let's get into the QA section of this stream right here. I'm feeling good on Friday. Now, I know, like I said, I'm going to repeat myself from the opening. I know there's some messed up shit happening on planet Earth right now, and frankly, sadly, in the 21st century, it's not necessarily new. And remember, we're taking a little time to talk about some silly stuff, not because we're ignorant of all that's going on, but in spite of it, give ourselves a little breather of happiness here together, just us 60 some folks just hanging out together. We're just take a moment to think about silly things. So let yourself indulge in it for a moment. Take a break from all that crazy. And if you're involved in all the crazy stuff happening on the planet right now, then bless you and hang in there. And I hope you get through it soon. All right. So let's get that Q&A. Put the word question in all caps so I can see you in the comments, and hit me. What do y'all think? I'll just take a pause here for an Ovaltine. Let's see. Is this Ovaltine over here? No. These are French fries. Okay. Sorry. Wow. Really exciting. BGD. Totally agree. Yo, Seth, my man. If y'all don't know about Weight Shift, go check that band out. They're legit. They're grimy. They're grungy. They're good. Azimuth, what's up? Thanks for your kind words up above, by the way. Appreciate that. Not to snoop, but Singing Bowl, yeah. It's not too personal at all. Yeah, it's right there. The Singing Bowl is a part of mindfulness life in general. I don't think it needs to come with a bunch of specific spiritual practices. I think that the Singing Bowl is a practical tool, and I'm definitely a mindful, gym going, yoga doing, transcendental meditation exercising person. So yes, I do have a singing bowl, but it doesn't necessarily come with a lot. It's what I would consider a tool, because it's a lot cooler than hitting YouTube and playing, yoga bowl sound effect 114. Hey, thanks, storyteller. Appreciate that. Adam's up in here. When designing a boss monster, what are your top 3 aspects you think make the monster? First of all, minions. Every good boss needs to use what in Warcraft we used to call ads, right? So you got to have a bunch of minions that are tangling up the mess. Never just let PCs take on one big dude. They will just own him. Get your minions in there. 2, motion. Big boss monsters need to be extremely mobile. Tank and spank sucks. Unless it's specifically an immobile creature of some sort. That's like part of its shtick. Get that sucker moving. Remember when they took on Alucard in Castlevania? That was freaking sick, because he's like zipping around and shit. You got a dragon. That thing isn't just sitting on the ground getting pummeled. It's flying, it's landing, it's sweeping, it's strafing. So we got minions, we got motion. And then finally, I would say threshold. And by threshold, what I mean is, like, don't give your boss 3,000 HP because your players are going to put out X amount of damage. Instead, make them break a threshold to even land a hit. And that way, players get into this mindset of, like, we need to muster a big enough hit to injure this thing, rather than 10,000 tiny hits will eventually kill this. So let's just hide behind a rock and shoot blow darts at it, right? I mean, and then building up to that threshold is what becomes fun. So minions, motion, and threshold. That's my 3 aspects I would throw back at your question. Cool question, by the way. Thank you. We got Josh up in this. Fun bits from Burning Wheel you have used in characters across your years gaming, and what outcomes came from them. Well, when I was at Burning Con in New York last month, I had a pretty good one. We played a Burning Wheel session, which was legendary, I got to say. It was Game of Thrones. We were in part of the north of Game of Thrones that in the books is sort of not mapped. And our game master had basically mapped it in themselves and created some political shenanigans in there. And we walked into this tense situation, and I was this awesome sort of female warrior lord. And I knew that this sort of crummy lord that was running this fort was a drunk and was useful, and I had to get rid of him. But I had to do it in a way that if I just walked in and killed him, it would be very politically bad. So my belief that I had, to your question, was that this guy's got to go. He's either needs to be dead or missing before like this fortress is going to be safe and the realm in general will be secure. And this is up to me. And so I had to walk in and sort of delicately get rid of a lord. And it was really, really fun, super challenging, very cerebral, as you know, really great Burning Wheel sessions can be. So really fun. And if you have anything even near that in your games, then I see you out there and I love you. Um, Drop some tips for the start of a short 3-session campaign. Yeah, always start with a heavy moral imperative. You know, somebody needs to be rescued. An innocent is about to be wrongfully killed or maimed or imprisoned. Always something strong and moral, and pin it down right at the beginning, like right away, and get that moral underpinning to be really strong. And then have one NPC or more, but at least one, who directly challenges or implores players for help, for rescue, for assistance, and is relatable and becomes a fixture. Between those two things, you can get a strong start. We got Pepper. Yo, Pepper, what's up? Do I have a play in the same system that I run? No. No, being a player is a existential state, not a system education state, although it can be that too. But being a player is most of all, I think, an existential state that you're in where you feel emotion and you see the impact of little details and of GM effort, and you see it firsthand. So yeah, I'd say as long as you're doing both, you're doing the whole thing. I'm just coming at this forever GM thing. That's like got a target on its back for me today, and I got one of those bow and arrows with the suction cup on that, and I Zim Papa. Have you noticed negative aspects of using a timer during turn-based role-play conversations? No, not at all. Timers work on game time, not on how much time we actually spend in the real world at the table. So I will sometimes use a little sand timer and flip it over if turns are taking too long to actually rush the players, not the world. But generally, timers live inside the world. So role play can happen sort of at its own speed. So yeah, I don't really ever have that conflict occurring. They weren't 3 M's, Data. It was minions, motion, and threshold. Those are my boss ideas. Azimuth is back. Halloween themed one shots. No, I never do so called holiday content of any kind. It's not for me. It's just not my thing. I'm not a holiday curmudgeon. I really mostly dislike all of the Christian co opted versions of ancient holidays. So I try to celebrate them in their ancient form. But I'm not a curmudgeon. But I definitely don't do like holiday RPG content. If anything, I think it's coolest to do like Halloween themed RPG content like in summer, and to do winter RPG stuff in summer, and then do desert stuff and do, you know, stuff like that in winter. So, you know, you're doing variety rather than like, hey guys, it's April, so let's do Easter Bunny from Hell. You know, it's just kind of not my thing. No shade to anybody who likes that stuff, just not my thing. Slam Fist. Have you thought of making or planning to make play aids, art cards and paper minis? You know, not really. Not really. I mean, there's the stuff that I release on my Patreon, the Hex monthly sort of zine that I do. And I do make paper craft, and I make decks of cards and things here and there. I am releasing a crazy cool, I think it's back there on the shelf. It's a tarot format deck of all my hero art from over the years. It's 130 some heroes for players to use at the table. And it's really getting a lot of love so far. So I'll release that. But I don't know, you know, like doing great books, working on Easy D6 and some other stuff I haven't announced yet is really kind of all consuming. So I've been doing a little less of the smaller stuff. Appreciate the question though. Storyteller, what's up? Will the Mora have insights into monsters of the realm? Yeah, absolutely. It's already got the spine beast and some others, but yeah, I love doing those monster anatomy things. As a matter of fact, I think that'll be the next page I do. Will be I'll pick a monster from Crown and Skull and do its like a dissection. That's a great idea, Steerpike. I love it. Gabriel Duden, my man up in here, bro. How you doing? This might be a bit silly, but it's always fun to hear stories from tabletop. So what's memorable? Oh man, but there's too many. There's so many. And remember, for every half hour I spend yelling at you, talking as fast as I can, it's actually like 2 hours or more, 3 hours, 4 hours of gameplay. So there are so many details and so many moments and so much laughter and fun and tension that I can never put into all the recaps because it just take a zillion years. But oh man, I don't know. There's just so many. I mean, in recent times, the Game of Thrones game at Burning Con really was existential. It was really fun. One of the most fun sessions I've done in a very long time. All my players were so tops with their role play. The gentleman who played our Maester was like born to play this Maester character. It was so brilliant and so believable, and we just had a blast. So I don't know if I want to get even into the sort of memorable favorite game. There's just too many amazing things over the years, and it almost reduces how quilted and huge this whole journey of mine has been to sort of pick out favorites. That's really tough for me. It's a cheesy answer, but there it is. Big up ICRPG, woo, on Twitter. Thanks, man. Twitter's a bit of a wasteland lately, but you know, Mad Max never had a problem with a wasteland, so we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it together. Thanks, I appreciate it though, Spam Man. Appreciate that big time. Spreading the word about Runehammer is the #1 way you can help me out. Favorite beverage for GMing and best length for a session. Best length for a session, I think, is 4 to 6 hours. You can get some fatigue in there. If you have a nice long middle intermission, you can avoid that fatigue. Also, sometimes if you go beyond 7 hours or so, you can get into an area where being so tired actually makes you enter this sublime, cool state. But that's rare. That's only for the hardcore. You know, also better to start in the afternoon if you're going to try to do a long one. As for favorite beverage, that's tough. I mean, it'd probably be something lighter because you want to have endurance, right? So you really don't want to, if you're talking about alcohol, you really don't want to get like slammed. Don't drink whiskey and stuff. Like it's not good. You know, like a solid lightweight German beer like Hofbrau or Warsteiner or Bitburger. Those are the least stomach intensive, the lower calorie, so you don't get so, you know, and also lower alcohol. And they also have German purity, so you just feel less crummy. So if you want to drink beer, go German, you know, go lager. But, you know, y'all, sometimes I'm a little crazy. I'll just have my silver chalice with ice water in it. You know what I'm saying? Like, when it comes to, you know, great role play, the table is what's fun, not necessarily drinking a bunch of beer or, you know what I mean? Kind of like the other stuff that you do in other venues of life. Really like to keep the focus on high energy. Like I almost always will slam a Red Bull before a session. Almost every session I play, even though I'm a player, I will slam a Red Bull down because you just are engaged and energized. I don't know if Red Bull's good for you, but if you have one a week or so, it can't be that bad, right? So, yeah, Brewer's Gold's great. Yo, how's your Runehammer dice coming? Yo, Slam Fist, these things are taking forever, but I kind of thought they would. Doing dice at scale to an extremely specific specification that is unusual is very time consuming. So you all know me. If I'm going to do an official dice set for Runehammer, it damn well better be kick ass. And I don't mean sparkly or like hard to read letters. It involves a lot of techniques and specifications that are out of the norm. And so new molds and new resin mixtures had to be created for my specifications. And this has been a lengthy process. But I am very close to getting samples. And believe me, y'all will be the first to see them. I'm so excited. But yeah, it has taken forever, hasn't it? It is like the final half year of 2023 is like all just waiting. It's really trying my attention surplus. Like just like, but it's kind of how you step to the next sort of industrial level, right? I really want to reach more people and have more fun with all this stuff. And this is some of the skills you got to learn. You got to learn patience with manufacturing. So I'm working on those skills. What do you want to call the hobby of ours going forward instead of default? Zim Papa, thank you so much for that T-ball. I am really trying to stop calling it D&D because Dungeons and Dragons as a specific brand has to me become a really lame brand. And I know that it has this deep past and is the origin. I'm not looking past any of that stuff. I love second edition D&D as much as everybody else on the planet. Absolutely freaking love it. But I think just always using the term D&D to describe role playing is becoming reductive and sad. I think it's just role playing now. We're playing RPGs. We're role playing. I don't think D&D owns it anymore because how pitifully they have treated their own brand and how I've utterly lost my interest in D&D in its new form. I will never lose interest in second edition D&D. I absolutely love the Essential Guide series. I love the Cyclopedia book. Some of the box sets from the back of the day are so sick, but they're not like all there is. I know some people are a little bit trapped in the past that they see, like BX or 1E or whatever of D&D is just like, well, it never got any better than that. I absolutely do not think that's true. But that's the D&D that I love. Like, I don't know what the fuck Hasbro is doing, and I'm just not interested. And that's why I'm trying to grow out of that term. So, is it a weird little kind of political, like, hem haw of mine? Yeah, I guess so. It's a little cheesy. But as a person who is actively trying to innovate and push that frontier and not just be complacent and be like, well, I guess this is D&D. We'll just play cartoon 5th edition for the rest of time. Because nothing can ever change in this world. Therefore, so that's why I'm trying to outgrow it. And believe me, it's not easy. Yeah, like Grandma, you're right. It is hard to not call it D&D. But just because something's hard doesn't mean we can't do it. And no, I totally disagree. Old stuff is not the best. We have come so far since then. But nostalgia is a very, very real thing. And when you first discover something, it imbues upon you a memory which is vastly cooler than the impact you have later in life with things. But it doesn't mean that old stuff is the best. Old stuff is not the best. The human race learns and improves very fast and all the time. Now, are the old AD&D box sets cool? Yes, but they are absolutely not the best. They're kind of klutzy how they're written. Honestly, you got to hack your ass off to really make it kind of flow smoothly. But it was ultra cool. It will forever be cool for what it is. But is it the best? Hell no. We have learned so much and come so far. If we hadn't evolved in 50 years, that would be so sad. But we have. We absolutely have. I got so stoked I sort of choked myself there. And honestly, one more word on that. I got to say, the mentality, and I'm not pinning anybody down on the stream about this, but the mentality that something that's 30, 40 years in the past is the best and hasn't been improved on and won't be improved on stuff is dismal. Absolutely dismal, pessimistic, blah on that. We are a learning, improving species. We have vastly improved in this hobby in these past 40 some years, coming up on 50. I guess even like Blackmore, Dave Arneson, that was 74. So we're right at 50 years, right? Was it cool? Sure. But we have come so far. Please do not be the person who says, well, when I was 15, everything was the coolest, and it'll never be that cool again. Oh my, get out of here. I'm not saying that's you, RPG Grandma, but I'm saying beware that mindset. Beware. Things are better. Things are better. We got our own problems in Cyberpunk 2023. Make no mistake. We got all kinds of messed up stuff going on. But we, with Heimdall, the best is the homebrewed stuff, which everybody knew back then and everybody knows now. Homebrew, customizing. People homebrew and customize without even knowing they're doing it. It just is the activity of playing. You're constantly homebrewing without even really noticing that's what you're doing. 2E art was better. Then what? Do you know how much art has been made since between second edition and now? Vast amounts of art. One cannot just look at the art of what's presented in one brand, one stream of books. Like, that's so Do not live in the past, y'all. Do not live in the past. Josh Howe, favorite thing you've seen from player community since Crown and Skull launch? Oh my goodness. There's been so much stuff. You know, ICRPG is a very successful game, but it did not have the sticking power that Crown has so far. Crown and Skull is reaching more tables and forming more campaigns and really getting groups going, even like hard to convert groups with a way higher success rate. And some of the coolest stuff, oh, I don't know. We got Quirkville's Spells and Monsters, which I just posted on Patreon. We've had a lot of campaigns with like frog antics and stuff that have been happening. Really, it's not necessarily something that's been created like a community content thing. It's just reports and screen grabs or photos from sessions. That's what's been the coolest with Crown and Skull. Too many people get in one size fit all minds. 2.8 might be the best thing for your group, and another might group. I mean, also, yeah, second edition D&D is just it is a museum piece, and it's really cool as a museum piece, and I will always love it for that. But there's no need to camp out and just say I'm going to listen to Bruce Springsteen for the rest of my life, and no other bands are good anymore. What? I don't think you're looking for new music with very much fervor if you think that no bands have been good since U2. So you're just going to listen to U2 for the rest of time? No more questions. I guess that's it. Are we done? Oh, hey. What's up, Sean? Do you have any GM roll tables from other systems books that you keep on going back to? I use my own a lot, obviously. I still, as you may be able to see up here, I do use the Forbidden Lands, both enemy tactics and tables that they have in their sort of hex crawl world. I really, really like Forbidden Lands. It's really cool. And I do keep Shadow Dark in my rotation as well. I'm one of only 2 people on the planet right now who has a hard copy of Shadow Dark. I mean, I know a lot of people can rock a PDF. I have a really hard time using a PDF productively, but Shadow Dark's tables are really, really fun. Sometimes you can get a really out there result, which I like, but those are about it. I'm not a huge, I don't stack a lot of stuff around myself as a preparer. You know, a lot of it's kind of in my head, and you know, if I am using roll tables, they're used like for hex travel, and maybe I'll do some other ones while I'm kind of sitting around being creative. Will I give the Matt Coville RPG a spend? I'm not sure. I actually, I actually almost thought that their whole like development process that he's been talking about on YouTube is almost like satire. Has that struck anyone else as satire? It was like, well, today we had a 6-hour meeting where we decided that a D8 will be sword damage or whatever. I almost thought it was meant to be comedy. It's so surreal and strange. I don't fully understand what's going on with that design process. It kind of sounds like a conference room in like a like a industrial park in like an office building, and they're in this conference room like using a dry erase board to make like RPG decisions. I don't know. I don't know what I think about it, honestly. It just seems quite odd. Just odd. I honestly just don't understand what's going on there. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry. As a designer in my own right, that process to me is just very like I don't know, makes my it's like scanners just makes my head explode. So all the best to them. But you know, I'll judge the results. I don't know anything about it from a hype point of view. I will judge the results, and I'm just like all of you. I buy everything that comes out and read it a few times. It's just only a very choice few things remain on my shelf. I often resell or give away the books that I get and keep my shelf extremely small. So that's where I'm at. Sorry about that, Azimuth. It took a while. Can you expand again on the nuance between paths of crown and skull in a sociologically view? I don't know what that means. What's a path in crown and skull? I'm a little confused. Help me out with that question. That one puts me a little out in the weeds. How's it going for you? It's more of a challenge than you expected. Oh well, yeah. I mean, we're totally where I have a warehouse now. We're like, there's a lot coming. A lot of announcements will be coming soon as far as Runehammer. We are like on the massive. It's crazy. It's basically grow smartly and sustainably and be cool and don't think like a corporation. That's really the priority right now. But growth is in front of me. It is here. It is happening. And no, it's not more challenging than I expected. I'm equipped for this. Hell yeah, man! I came in here to play. You know, like I'm ready to do this kind of stuff. Y'all got to remember, I'm 50 years old at this point. I've been like doing stuff in the creative industry since I was like 20. So I am ready to attack. So no, it's not more challenging at all. If anything, the challenge is being ethical, smart, and authentic. That's what's hard. And always requires a reevaluation of strategy. Don't be like a company. You know, the models we've been given of companies and the way companies strategies, I find it to be barf worthy most of the time. So I want to be cool. I don't want to be like that. Yo, Zim Papa, what's up? Yo, Zim Papa. Players and DMs using a screen. No. Yeah, you mean like digital screens? Absolutely not. Such a downer. Like if a laptop comes out, oh my God, get out of town. Such a downer, especially nowadays when everybody's so phone addicted. No, absolutely not. Get out your notebook and your pencil, baby. Let's draw some doodles. Anything. If you need to keep your hands busy, draw my character, dude. It's a dwarf. I got the Master Edition for Christmas. Maybe the best book in my RPG collection. Holy shit, Jack. Thank you. Thank you more so for the compliment than the $5, but also thank you for the $5. I'm going to get a sandwich with the. Can you buy a sandwich for $5 anymore? Maybe at the gas station. Ugh. I'm gonna get myself a little side salad with that $5. That's what I'm gonna get. Azimuth, the difference in culture are examples between cultural differences in groups, towns, and kingdoms. That is such a colossal topic. I mean, I guess I'd have to say read the book on that one. That is such a huge delving into a multi-dimensional, multifaceted answer of like what makes the quilt of my world, the North Hole's interesting. I can't just give a hot take on that one. Zimpapa. Zimpapa. Keep an eye on Runehammer Discord. You bet. Great. Makes it easier to stare at the screen less during. Just don't use any digital devices. I mean, playing at an actual table, just absolutely ban all digital. If you want something, you got to print it out. Yeah, I'm with you, Jack. If you can afford a $5 food item of any sort, you probably don't want it because it's 2023. Yo, cyberpunk. Food's more than $5. Music and sounds you can have on your phone, but your phone must be to the side and not be fucked with. But yes, I always have ambient music. If you guys want to check out my session music, look me up. My new Crown and Skull album is out there. It's made specifically for sessions. I also have session playlists that you can grab in all my various social media. But music curation is extremely important of what you curate for sessions because it can be really dumb and disruptive if you don't choose with care. Adam McClendon, is the world of the North Holds completely fleshed out? Or are there fog of war, the uncharted lands? Well, the far south is uncharted. The eastern islands are uncharted. And then the west beyond the sort of the Uller's Teeth, which are like the Himalayas, is uncharted, and maybe we'll get into those areas in the future, but maybe not. I'm not sure. I don't know. Yeah, RPG Grandma, as long as you got music, then yeah, I agree. Absolutely no electrical devices. What's a weird world you're not had the opportunity to do a session about, but you really want to? I don't know. I almost can't think of one. Done games in so many different worlds and settings and systems and stuff over the years. There's not a lot of unturned stones. It's just more about new things. Flash Gordon soundtrack is extremely aggressive music with words and lyrics. I, I that was great if it was awesome for your group. I would never use that music in a session. As music, absolutely awesome, but as session music, I would never do it. Got to have no lyrics, very few snare drums, very few high pitched sounds, very few melodies. It's got to have long form, breathing room for talking. Should not be recognizable in any form which pulls you out of the immersion, and so on and so on and so forth. I have a lot of. Well, you can go listen to Crown and Skull soundtrack. Tell me what you think. Uh, Akiba. Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate it. And very timely. Was the setting of Alfheim inspired by the Alfheim from the world of Mystara? Well, isn't everything inspired by Mystara? I mean, I don't think there's any parallels, no, but Mystara was awesome. Everybody knows it. Really, Alfheim just came out of my novels. I just documented what I had described in my novels, and it became Alfheim. And obviously, Alfheim is one of the nine realms from Norse mythology and stuff. It's not like I just pulled it out of thin air. I was kind of like, Alfheim. Oh yeah, well, Spotify, YouTube, whatever are absolutely loaded with the kind of music that sits under human voices comfortably and doesn't distract. It's just a matter of searching and curation. It's like if some weirdo comes up to you, tell you, said there's no good bands anymore. You guys hear this stuff ever? Yeah, there's no good bands anymore. All the great music was in the 80s or whatever. All that is a lack of energy and discipline to go find cool music. We are in an absolute explosion of amazing music in 2023, just like we expected in Cyberpunk. Like, you just have to have the energy, the open mind, and the curation and the time to find the amazing music you seek. Otherwise, you get stuck listening to old stuff all the time, and that's not cool. Repa! What things were not interesting to you when you played as a player last session? Uh, Almost none. I didn't really have anything that was uninteresting. Yeah, everything was pretty interesting. Sometimes if a little like a role play kind of morass goes on too long, I don't like that. That's about it. Well, I don't know why I'm getting called ugly. Top 40 is rarely the best music available at that time. I don't know about that. Sometimes it's great. I don't know if generalizations are going to help here, but oh, what things were most interesting to me? Oh wow. Well, it was definitely variation in armor. Variation in defense was a huge one for me. And that little emotional bit about NPC roleplay was huge for me. Um, some stuff just about pacing. I think you can actually go too fast in combat when it kind of strange. I didn't think I'd ever be the person saying that, but you can go a little too quick. Um, but I don't know. I think it was just the way players respond to things. That myself and my co-players was the most fascinating. Steer pipe. Favorite movie inspired by Lovecraft. Oh boy. Something is going on below. I think I'm going to have to call this session. Maybe the void. But hang on just a sec. I'll be right back. All right, we had a brief construction emergency there. There's some kind of craziness going on. Um, oh, favorite H.P. Lovecraft movie? I don't know. Probably the one with the boy on the island, the water. Um, I love the Guillermo del Toro stuff that he did with the cabinet. I don't know. There's so many things based on Lovecraft. That's a little hard to pin down. The Void was kind of cool. Hmm. The Quiet Earth. Uh, Dagon was cheeseball but fun. I don't know. Do you journal the session when playing? Absolutely. I take all kinds of notes. I draw all kinds of little drawings and document the stuff and draw other people's characters and remake my character sheet like 8 times during a session because I'm always looking for a more tidy way to do it with a pen and then all this kind of stuff. Yeah, I had like all this banging, so I didn't know what was going on. It seemed like the wall was about to come in on me. But I am running out of time. We've been rocking for a little over an hour here. I probably just need to. I think I probably need to give someone a ride, or there's probably something important I have to go do. Anyway, y'all, thanks for tuning in. I always appreciate it when y'all come and hang out. And I'll do that monster anatomy dissection next as a drawing stream, probably tomorrow. I like doing Saturday morning drawing sessions. It's great to see all you guys. Please catch up with me on email or Discord, where I hang out the most. You can message me right on YouTube and all kinds of other stuff. There are conventions coming up. There's going to be Mythic Con in North Carolina. Come and see me there. Then there's going to be the Philly Area Gaming Expo in Oaks, PA, coming up in January. But a little bit of an announcement, going to roll heavy on Gen Con 24. I'm talking heavy, so look for some announcements there. I know everyone goes to Gen Con. You're going to see me in full effect there. Vorpal Bite, it amazes me how you turn D&D into a career. Well, it's not a career. I am an entrepreneur. It's a little different, but I appreciate that. I am definitely getting into I have jumped a tier a little bit. I'm past the beginning now. Runehammer has been around quite a while now, coming up on 9 years, I think. And with Crown and Skull have definitely crested into another dimension of success. So really proud and grateful of what's happened with Runehammer. But all it is you guys. I mean, none of it is possible without everyone on YouTube, everyone on Patreon, everyone on Discord, and the enthusiasm and the real people who play week by week, who actually do this hobby, not do hot takes about it or talk about it or do transmissions or look for likes and views. It's about the unseen people who really read books, who really play week to week, and that is what has made Runehammer what it is. And I'm ever thankful for it. And I just want to do right by all those people, and I want to keep ascending and pushing these boundaries more, and innovate and refuse to settle for what we've been given. Let's keep fighting for cooler and cooler things, even if it's been done or this person did that or there are too many of this or whatever. I don't believe in any of that thinking. I believe in going for it, do the cool next thing. Let's do it together. And that's what's sort of made this whole snowball keep going. I am a hard-boiled conservative. Sorry, that was like something Bender would say or something. Anyways, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in. It is great to have all you here online. Please come catch up with me. Let's talk person to person and all that good stuff. Otherwise, keep an eye on Graham or YouTube or whatever for announcements as they come up. Have a great weekend. And remember, all you got to do this weekend, find one person out in this crazy world of ours, sometimes a very sad and difficult world. Get out there and do something nice for one person. Get a dude a cheeseburger. You know what I'm saying? Like, go up, give a hug, help somebody move their couch. You know what I'm saying? If we all did that, every single human did something nice for just one other person, the whole world would be turning around just a little bit more better. You know what I'm saying? So everybody, keep it real, and I'll see you next time. Cat hair on the mic. Cat hair on the mic.